Well, I'll tell you what, I already had a couple emails from people saying, Anthony, where's the updates from yesterday? I'm getting to them. I literally went to the Meadows yesterday, raced all day, and from the Meadows to Northfield, it's a 2-hour drive. And between phone calls and just people messaging me, I didn't have a waking second. I didn't have a minute to make a video. At the time, I didn't think it was a big deal because I thought I would have time at Northfield, and I did not realize how many catch drives I had. 17 races yesterday in between 2 tracks at 35 degrees, and I was wiped out. I started to do a video on the way home. The lighting wasn't good. Addie, stop, honey. The lighting wasn't good, and then Amy had called, wanted to talk about Ollie's baseball team that beat last night, and obviously, there's a lot of people I can ignore when I'm doing my videos. And even Amy, once in a while, if I know it's not important. But when she calls me at 11 o'clock at night, you better pick up. That's just the way it is. So, we just talked about baseball. And, you know, you guys know I can take on a lot, right? I live in chaos all the time. I'm okay with it. I explained to you guys how I like to compartmentalize everything. It may seem messy because there's so many things to do, but I like to line them up one by one in my mind and just plow through them, right? Get them done, regardless of what it is. Well, every so often, even I get this feeling of being overwhelmed. And did you ever watch the movie For the Love of the Game? It's like one of my favorite movies. Kevin Costner, a pitcher in baseball. Surely your husband's watched For the Love of the Game. Anyway, it's one of my favorite movies. Look, Amy. Oh my God. No, I'm going to ignore her this time. Don't anybody tell her. No one tell her. If she really has to talk to me, she'll call right back. And there's a part in the movie, at the end of the movie, where, you know, he's it's not really relatable, but he's busy all the time. Also, he's a baseball player, right? He's top of the food chain his whole life. He's at the end of his career, and he has a way of drowning out the noise of the fans, right? And there's one part in the movie where he says, you know, clear the mechanism, and everybody goes away. And then as he gets tired, as his baseball game goes along, he goes to clear it, and it doesn't clear, right? And that's how I get sometimes. Every so often, as the yearling sales approach, right, I get that feeling sometimes, because right on top of the yearling sales are stake races, pretty big stake races, especially when we're going down to Lexington. The last couple of years, I've stopped to race the Buckeye Finals or the Grassroots Finals or whatever at Dayton, right? So you're trying to focus on what babies you want to look at and how you want to do it. Look at this one, look at that one, and take notes that everybody's sending you. And then at the same time, okay, put that away. Now you have to go be a driver. And it can get overwhelming sometimes. And yesterday, although I didn't really do anything wrong, that I felt anyway, I had trouble clearing my mechanism yesterday when I got to the track, just because this is the time of year where all the baby's equipment is rattling around in my head. Changes we need to make, shoeing changes we need to make. Oh, I need to talk to the veterinarian about something. Jason and I spoke to him. I want to follow up about that. Then, we have horses in Ontario also. Blue Rare we had to work on, get some work done on her palate. Oh, how is Sterling Hanover since his thing? I want to talk to Dominic about the shoeing. I want to talk to Harry about JK Victory's not racing good. What are we going to do with him? So at some point, I got to look at condition sheets all over the place to see if we can find a spot for JK Victory, right? Rock Shining Star, he raced terrible the other day. What happened with him? He's back in to go. He's in the Constellation. Where are we going to go with him after? Save America, he's not in Truro. A million people asking me, what's wrong with Save America? There's nothing wrong with Save America. There's no Lasix in Truro. But he did get in Charlottetown as a prep race. So he's going to be racing on Saturday. When's Woodmere Bullet going to race? What's wrong with Woodmere Betcha? These are things that always, at some point, they're sitting there. And it just seemed like yesterday at one point, they all just jumped on top of me. And luckily, by the time the races started, I was able just to put everybody back in their stalls, so to speak, put it all away. But I was left with that feeling, and I think a component of that feeling is I was looking at the program odds 3-2 on Sherry's Girl, 2-1 on Don't Ask Again. How would I drive pretty eyes and lies. How would she do? I really did not think she would make a break, let alone 2 or 3 of them yesterday. When I warmed her up, I was happy with what I saw. Then Marcia knows this because she was here. There was a recall. There was somebody putting a shoe on. There was a recall. There was a delay. I got off the track. I looked up. I looked at the clock. And immediately that voice inside me says, I don't know where your math is, but there's no way that you're getting back to drive Jolene Hall. So I had to call the judges and say, well, I'm really sorry, but you guys are running the races 45 minutes behind with the recall and everything else. And they could fine me. I might get here today and there may be a fine waiting for me for leaving after the 10th race. But there was nothing I could truly do. I can't stay and drive that horse. I have to get back to drive this filly. That's the one thing that a lot of tracks hate, especially from different jurisdictions, is when you book off their racetrack to go race at another one. They're not big fans of that at all. So I had to call the judges and tell them I'm really sorry I can't drive the mare in the open mares. I have my trotting filly. It's her first lifetime start. She is a little bit tricky, and I would like to be there for her. And I was, with minutes to spare. Marcia and I pulled into Northfield Park at what, 6:14? Is that what time it was? Yeah. 6:14. Second race post time is 6:22. So that's what was going on yesterday. I couldn't focus on any one thing. And I'm glad that I didn't do the video on the way home anyway, because between going through all that all the day, being tired, burned out, wiped out over the whole day, I really wasn't in the mood to do a video, and you weren't going to get a real true view of what I was thinking and what I was talking about. So I get up this morning. I was up at 6:45. Answered emails, laying there in bed, answered emails. Somehow the little troll climbed into bed with me last night. Right, Addie Bear? What's with that? What are you climbing in my bed for?
I want to sleep with you, cuddle.
Oh, you wanted to cuddle? Yeah, it's a king-size bed and you're on the other side of the bed. There wasn't much cuddling done. Yeah.
I wanted to cuddle.
Uh-huh.
Cuddle with my feet.
So, I got up this morning, answered emails, went to Starbucks. We're on our way. I'm going to get here in time. I'm not late. And it gave me time to think. But here we are halfway through the trip. And now I'm just starting to get my video done. People call, the emails come in. Addie's asking me stuff. Ava's asking me stuff. The only one quiet in the car was Marcia. Now Ava's going to sleep. Addie's playing her tablet. And I finally get to do my video. Put all the horses in their stalls. Compartmentalized everything. I have a clear view as we drive down the road. I think the biggest thing is, the things I don't like is, I don't mind the unknowns that I have solutions for. Say I may have a problem tomorrow, but there's multiple solutions for that problem. I'm confident that one of those will do just fine. But when we have Ollie's team playing in Cooperstown next week, I don't know how he'll do. I don't know how the team will do. I don't know where we're staying. I don't know what's around there. And then I know that I have to fly from the Cooperstown area to Kentucky to drive Jailbird Jog. Now, as I reported in our other videos, it said the consolations were on Tuesday, the finals were on Monday. Well, they changed all that. Everything's on Monday now. So it's even more important that I get down there, because in theory, I can't imagine all 3 of those fillies are in the final. I assume one Jailbird Jog is in the final for sure, and then one or both of the other fillies will be in the consolation. I could see Degas making the final, I suppose, if she did well on Monday. But Zena Kemp would have to come up with a 1, 2, I don't even know if a 3 would do it. A 1 or 2 on Monday to get it done. I look at the draw, Degas is in with Zena Kemp. That's okay. I have to drive Degas anyway. And Zena Kemp, I talked to Dexter the other day jokingly. He said, you scratched her. He said, I'd like to get another crack at her, like any driver would. And I said, yeah, no problem. I'm pretty sure we can get you back on Zena Kemp. So Dexter Dunn is going to drive Zena Kemp. I'm going to drive Degas. Next problem. The 12th race goes a little bit late on Monday. I can't fly out of Cleveland because I can't make it back to the airport in time. Now, what I can do is fly to Pittsburgh. That means I'm going to have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, drive to Pittsburgh Airport, park my car, fly to Oak Grove, fly back into Pittsburgh. But because this might work out, because Pretty Eyes and Lies has to qualify on Tuesday. And I might school Hanger 1 on Tuesday. So I may have Hanger 1 sent over to Tim's for the day. I might get up in Pittsburgh where I've slept because I flew in at 11 o'clock at night. Go over, qualify our filly, and school Hanger 1. Now, for my partners in Hanger 1, that is not set in stone, and please don't read too much into it. I don't care how he schools, he's going to need at least 2 schoolers. But this, now you're starting to get a sense of this. Now, there's solutions for all this. Marsha and I talked about it. I can't fly to Cleveland, fine. I'll fly to Columbus, fine. I'll fly to Pittsburgh, fine. I'll fly to Buffalo. I'll fly somewhere. Yes, sweetheart. No, you can't come with me to Oak Grove, sweetheart. Because, one, I'm flying, right? I know you like airplanes, but the people watching this video that own Jailbird Jog would not be very happy with me trying to bill out flying Addie Bear to Oak Grove. Secondly, it's not a super kid-friendly place. That's the one thing I learned last year when I tried to take my family down. It's all casino, so they can't walk through they have to walk to the tarmac. And then even there, they're not allowed in the paddock. And I get it, but it just seems a little much for me. So they can't go. I think, and then you sprinkle in the draw of the next generation. We drew 885. The changes we had to make going into the next generation. I never like making changes going into a stake race. Unless, if you're talking about a 3-year-old, you need to train them. Well, that's different. Uncle Danny, I believe we have to take the flip-flops off. That was after his first start, and I'm glad we raced him the second start there. After the first start at the Meadows, I said, we'll just leave him. He seems fine. But then we had to go that extra second faster the next week in the 3-wide path. I could see the difference. He was slipping a little bit, and I could hear him chewing at himself. Now I know the change needs to be made. Now, I trained him yesterday in the jog cart, but that's not a mile and 58 or 57. So that's always in my mind also. So all this stuff is rattling around. I think it's the Cooperstown thing. The Cooperstown thing is the one that tipped me over yesterday. I don't know anything about what's going to go on. It's a baseball tournament for my son. And now I have to get back to Oak Grove. We have 3 airports to fly out of, and it's just I think that might have been the tipping point. That might have been the straw right there that did it. Yes, sweetheart. No, Cooperstown is next week, sweetheart. All right?
I'm going.
Yes, you're going. Let's not talk about it. Let's just think about it for the next 10 minutes, all right? So, and then all this. So I go out on the track, right? Pretty Eyes and Lies makes a break. And I wasn't hard on myself. I don't think it was anything I did that she made a break. It's just, I'm left wondering, should we put hobbles on her? Is this something that could happen? Would the hobbles help her? They might. My only problem is, would the hobbles draw her to her knees? That's a very real concern. So do you just put knee boots on her and qualify her with hobbles on? That's a possibility. I haven't made my mind up yet. So I make the break with her. Now I go out. Melisandre's break was not her fault, nor my fault. Actually, truthfully, a component of her break was caused by one of the best drivers in the world, was Dexter. He got down on top of me in the last turn. He didn't hit me, but I had to check her and move her left. And when I did, she was on top of the horse in front of her, which normally would be fine. All our horses are used to traveling that way. But when she's twisted around and getting doubled up like that, now you factor in the hobbles that we just let out, she just rolled off. She just wasn't her fault. She was going to be third probably, but she just rolled off. Whatever. Just chalk it up into bad luck, and then I make a break with Tim's horse. I come off the track, and I got my brown gloves that we all talked about the other day on, and I got a whip that's a little bit older. I snap the whip right in half, and I never ever do this, but I just was angry. Not mad, just frustrated. I snapped my whip in half. I took the gloves off. I threw them in the trunk of the car. I put a different set of gloves on and grabbed the new whip, and I went back out. So we get to Northfield, and I look down, message from Scott Zero. Warms my heart that you took those brown gloves off. There's people that watch, I'm sure there's lots of things to watch in Campbell Hall, New York, without watching me drive at the Meadows. But he noticed right away that we didn't have the brown gloves on. We'll talk about something that took place earlier in the morning in just a minute. A lot of you want to talk about Perfect Thought. I'll be happy to. Just give me a moment. So, when it came to the rest of the day, it really wasn't that bad. I'm in the wrong place. Here we go. Pretty Eyes and Lies makes a break. Melisandre makes a break. Two different things. Pretty Eyes and Lies, I honestly can't tell you why she made the break. And Amy was probably right. She said it when we were talking later. She goes, she touches that left shin, and she goes, I bet she just touched it and rolled off stride. Yeah, you're probably right. It shouldn't bother her as much as it does. You have to commit to your craft, I guess is what it comes down to. I talk about having that eye of the tiger. I joke about it sometimes. She's not a cowardly filly, but she has to be all in. At some point, all the horses have to be all in. Same as I am. Same as everybody is. And until they get to that point, well, you're left with minor mistakes you shouldn't really make. And the reason I don't know why she made a break yesterday is probably because she shouldn't have made a break yesterday. But anyway, we'll move forward. I think I'm probably talking myself into qualifying her with hobbles on Tuesday, so that's likely where we're going with that. Melisandre makes a break. Don't read anything more into that. I did say to Tim, maybe it's time to get those flip-flops off of Melisandre. What happens with the flip-flops is when you get hot days and you don't have enough water on the track, and there's some days it gets hot, you can't put enough water on the track. By the time you water the track, the horses warm up, post-parade, and go to the gate, the track's dry again, right? And if you don't water the track in between that race particularly, now the track's twice as dry, right? Not quite dusty, but getting there. And what happens is that beachy, sandy track that they have on the meadows, they spin off a bit, right? Those flip-flops hit, slide. There's not enough grab there. Now the problem was we started her without flip-flops, but when we got back to Northfield, she was just a little pinchy on her feet, so we had to put them back on. I think now's the time to take those back off. Everything we do, we're trying to get her a little bit better, with the hopes that one of these days she's going to take a mark of 55 and a piece. Yep. That's the plan with Melisandre, and we'll get there. Yesterday's break was not her fault. Then we went out with the fillies. Don't Ask Again and Cherry's Girl. Don't Ask Again. I like the way she got off the car, got away in the front. I let Dave Pallone remove. But again, you have to get to that point where it's all in, right? She trotted 2 minutes, 2-3, 2-1, whatever, and then was asked to trot in 58 yesterday and couldn't quite do it. Not the end of the world, 59, whatever it was. Not the end of the world. She has to understand that she has to always be ready to strike, right? And that's just her being green. The speed is not, she's not going to get lost in the speed. What you saw yesterday is not her top speed. Not even remotely close. Not even remotely close. But she will be fine. It's just going to take work. That's all. She's got a better attitude now. She finished up strong, but she has to recognize what she has to put forward, which is 105% effort when she's racing in those stake races. And that just comes with experience. Cherry's Girl, same type of thing. I thought I'd Aki put away twice. Now, rewind. And it's the same for everybody, but it was definitely the same for Cherry's Girl. We had a shoe off, which delayed the race by 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. Then we had a recall, another 2-3 minutes. We go up behind the car, and I usually always put our horses right behind the gate so they can see the person in the gate. She was having none of that. If you watched her first start, she at the rail, she sprung right off the car like she wanted to cut the race. Yesterday, she wouldn't go up to the gate. She's looking at the person behind the gate. She's backing off, and I know what she was doing, and I don't want to force her hand because she might run. And she could. So I just left her alone. As the gate sped away, once she settled into her head check, then she took off. I knew Aki would cut me loose. I really thought when I made front with her, I didn't want to put her in the 4-hole. I really thought when I made front, one of two things would happen. I'd get my own way and win, or Aki would remove and we'd be 1-2. I don't want to say I beat him because I don't know his horse. But what happened was he moved out. When he moved out, I thought I had him right where I wanted him. She did get a little rickety around the last turn. I think as we move throughout the year and we move her to maybe a hood with cups where she can see a little bit more, I think you're going to see her do some much better work. Not that she did bad work yesterday. How much she tried yesterday? 57 in a piece? 58? It doesn't matter. It's fine. It doesn't matter. She trotted plenty yesterday, and I thought she looked rather well doing it. She is a nice filly that we're going to have a lot of fun with all year. She is certainly not outmatched. I know that Ron Burke's filly winning in 56 looked good. The difference is Ron Burke's filly was ready to rock yesterday. Our filly is not there yet. In fact, she's not going to be there her next start either. She's going to be getting there. As the year goes on, she's going to be getting there. And the hope is that she continues to do well throughout the year. And when we get to that final race, maybe they're both at the same mental level. And if that's the case, we got a big, giant, strong filly. Their filly's very, very nice also. And obviously, as of right now, a much better filly. But we're just scratching the surface when it comes to Cherry's Girl. So I got in the car after the 10th, and we made our way all the way to Northfield. I did not know how... The biggest problem I had was Jolene Hall hit the rail. And I did not know how she would manage the rail with a new driver, so to speak. You've seen her make breaks all year long on other people. You have to know Jolene Hall. She has to know you almost a little bit too. I let her trot into the turn, scoring down, had her head out a little bit, and she was trotting good, but she's always looking to do stupid things, right? Green, pull up, and do dumb things, and I just wanted to be ahead of her the whole way. I got away second, and then Tyler moved to the front. If Tyler's horse carries down the backstretch, I get out anywhere, I win for sure. But it was fine the way it was. She get out second over, and I don't know where they get their charting from. I don't think she was 2 lengths off the 3/4 pole. And now that I say it, maybe she was. But she was quite a ways back at the head of the lane and charged under the wire. She understood her job. She tried to run down Justin as hard as she could. She raced, well, I'll tell you what she did. I had expectations of her going into the race, and she far exceeded them. 2 minutes, sprinting the last 1/8 of a mile on the end of it as hard as she could through the wire was very, very important. I didn't see her doing that. I saw her potentially winning. I saw her doing a lot of good in the race, but it would be on her terms, and I did not see her finishing off her mile the way she did. That was an impressive rally on the end of the mile, and I was thoroughly pleased with her. Now, Rico Tubbs, a lot of changes have to be made with this horse. It's not his fault. I haven't sat behind him in a bit. I trained him in 2-1 maybe 4 weeks ago. But this horse is growing up. He's not the same horse. We need to lower his angles a little bit up front. He's really trappy. Maybe get the flip-flops off of him also. Little rickety going behind. I might even shorten his toes up a little bit behind. This is stuff I got to talk to Jason about, but I think that there's a much, much better horse in there. Line pull left, Murphy blind outside, let his head down, put a martingale on him. These are things that I think we need, and everything I just said will help Rico Tubbs in my mind after looking at him. I think that horse was functioning-wise 85% last night. Still trotted in 2-1, 29 seconds on the end of it. There's a pretty decent horse in there. We do have to make some changes to Rico Tubbs, and he probably should take a little slide past Dr. Latessa. Can you remind me? Don't call Dr. Latessa. A little slide by and talk to Dr. Latessa this week before he races again. Now, the last horse we raced of the night was the most frustrating for me. I warmed up Nassau. He felt good. Now, he's a propulsion. The only propulsion I have to go by is Grand Slam Dio. She can get a little pacey at times and wears flip-flops. Now, Nassau landed in the barn with long toes up front. And Steve told me he needed to be shod. Steve Boston's, which, sure, I agree, he needs to be shod. Well, we had him shod, trained him the next day. He trained good, but he trained advancing, right? I let him float over the half in 106, last half in 59. He was strong. In the mud, with just being shod. Fast forward 72 hours or 96 hours later, and you have his race. I warm him up. He is a little pacey. I don't want to add a bunch of weight to him, which if I had added one more set of bell boots, he runs off last night. The one thing Steve Palermo was 100% correct about is he is an absolute layover in that class. They might have charted me 15 back. I might have been 20 back at the quarter pole, and he trotted his last 3 quarters in, I want to say 127 apiece. He was very, very good last night. The break in the first turn happened because I was being a little too conservative rather than going forward off the car. When I grabbed him going into the turn, he got a little shuffly and he paced. The easy fix is to not grab him, right? For last night, the easy fix moving forward is just we have a nice little set of weighted bell boots until we get a little more toe on them, because obviously you can't glue it back on. We have a little more toe on them. I have a nice little set of weighted bell boots that will fit him perfectly. We need to work on his feet. If his feet are hurting him, put the flip-flops on him and race him his next start. But I would suspect he is, as Steve likes to say, a lead pipe cinch his next start. It's going to be, hold on, it's going to be very, very difficult to beat that horse in that class. I like the way he did it. I was a little miffed because I saw hints of him pacing in the warm-up, and I could have nipped it in the bud at that point. I just thought that, and now he's thawed out, he'll be fine in the race. There was really no indications in the post-parade that he was a little pacey, and he didn't actually pace until I grabbed him going into the first turn. Had I just let him sail out of there wouldn't have been a problem. Now we know what can happen. We know likely what did happen. How do we fix it? It's a very, very simple fix. A number of things can do it. First and foremost, make sure his knees and feet are good. Get him looked at. Secondly, just add a little bit of weight to him. He'll be fine, and there won't be a problem. So, a little frustrated over that, but that is what happens from time to time. There's not much more I can do or say about that. It's done. We will rectify it for next week. Now, a number of people also said, Anthony, so at Galarium, we sold out. We sold all the shares at 1 and 2 of Globetrotting's Baby travel blog. Next up will be Money's Tied Up, and that is the filly out of a Galarium. She is an absolute gorgeous filly from the pictures. That lady does a tremendous job with the photography. Just an absolute great job. The pictures I've seen of a Galarium's Baby look great. I have not watched the video yet, but the pictures look tremendous. So great job by her. I'm a little embarrassed to say I don't know the lady's name, but certainly have seen her handiwork, and she does great work for sure. So Money's Tied Up. Those shares will go up for sale tomorrow morning. I don't know how many will go up or how many will be spoken for. I'm not sure yet. There should be 40 or so up there for her. And again, when you look at, well, here, I'll put it to you this way. Harness AM, who was her sister by Father Patrick, sold Captain Corey for $230, I think, last year. And this is a Galarium, who's a Southwind Frank. She's not a Father Patrick, obviously, but a Southwind Frank. And this is not a Captain Corey. It's an International Money. I'm well aware of both facts. But again, the family, the line, the lineage is very, very strong. And when it comes to this particular filly, another one of those ones I can't wait to get in, because I had a lot of love for a Galarium, and this one, gorgeous filly. So those shares will go up tomorrow. And we'll continue to do that every week with the yearlings until we get to sale time. But once those shares are gone, they're gone, right? So just so you know, it's first come, first serve, and as it should be. We've offered the shares up to the owners first and foremost. Whatever ones they want, we'll continue to do that. I don't think I hit send on the email I had for the other people that owned a Galarium, the Baby. I'll have to do that today. But there's not that many people, that many partners on a Galera, so it should be an easy enough thing. I can probably text them, let alone send it a mass email. And then obviously I'm going to end with the qualifier from yesterday. Obviously, I was thoroughly pleased with Cherry's Girl. Listen, if you'd asked me a month ago, how do things look in Pennsylvania? We get a couple of fillies that, man, I hope they make the races. And then, another filly that looks okay. If you'd have told me that one would have been even money favorite in a Sire Stake event and finished second, and the other one would have been a closing third in a Stallion Series, I think I and all of you would have been very, very happy with that. So yesterday has to be viewed as a resounding success. I was a little hard on myself, not for yesterday's drives. It just felt like I found a way to get beat with a few horses yesterday that really, in hindsight, should have won. Now, none of them were ours. I'm not Nassau, for sure. I had no way of knowing that, though, going into the race, but I do now. I felt he definitely could have won. The filly raced great. It was just some overnight races where I look back and I'm like, man, I should have done this or I should have done that. It was just one of those days, right? Just a loser day where you just couldn't win a race. And that's what it was. But the highlight of yesterday for sure was the qualifier from Perfect Thought. Now, I'm going to set the scene for everybody. You have Lazarus and Perfect Thought right now in New Jersey. I'm not aware, Scotty didn't make me aware of any other sires that are really sticking out in New Jersey. Like, there was none, according to him, but there must be some. And the reports I've heard from the perfect stings are, let's say, scattered. Some people like them, a lot of people don't. And this has always been our best filly training down, which is makes her at this point anyway from the and please don't read too much into that, because I've only talked to a few people. I'm not going to name any names because maybe they don't want me to. But from the people I've talked to that have gone with some of the perfect stings, they thought they were okay to ordinary to some talent to good. Now, I think Scotty, he said to me, I get up in the morning early and get in the truck and go all the way there on my day off, nonetheless, to qualify your filly. And I said, well, I'm pretty sure you did, because you wanted to see how accurate my depiction of her was. And it was fairly close. He said she was very, very good. Now, he didn't, and I know I didn't, because he doesn't want me to get too excited about it. He was very tempered in what he said, but I can read between the lines, and I know what he was saying. Definitely looks like a serious contender in New Jersey. We'll start there, and then we'll see what happens after. But a very talented-looking filly. He said, she does do everything right. He said something about her looking at a couple of shadows or something. I'm not sure, but he said, man, she was really, really good. One sec, sweetheart. She was really, really good, and he was really happy with her. How couldn't he be? I think you told me 54-4, 27-1 in the end of it. Was that correct? I think you told me that.
I think so.
Yeah. He said I had to go around the shadow in the last turn, and she comes 27 flat very, very easily. So, very strong looking filly. She came out of the race great. Megan sent me a video of her bouncing around her stall today. And good for Megan too. I remember when we sold Tactical Mounds, Megan said, there might never be one like her. And I said, I'm going to tell you what, I can't say there'll be another one like her, but it won't be your last good horse. What's wrong, sweetheart? How far are we? We are 30 minutes. Is that okay? What's wrong? Well, you can't get there any faster. If I go any faster, I'm going to be pulled over, and then it's going to be 45 minutes. Right? All right, we'll put it away. Anyway, I'm happy for Scotty and Meg, because Megan puts a lot of work into her horses, and I don't know, because I'm not a female, but I know this is, at least in North America, this is not a female friendly sport sometimes, and I'm always happy when she does good, and so happy when Amy got her qualifying license stuff. I like to see people enjoying the game as much as they should, and it's not easy, right? This is a tough game to enjoy all the time. Money gets tight, things get tight, you get overwhelmed sometimes, but it's always nice when we're lucky enough to have good horses. And I'm very, very happy that the filly qualified well for Megan and Scotty yesterday at the Poconos. Now, qualifier is not a stake race. It's certainly not the Breeders' Crown final, but at the same time, it's a step forward with a filly that we all hold in very high regard. So that is it. You guys got 33 minutes to fill your boots here. We are almost to the Meadows. We got a big day ahead. We're going to see another filly that we hold in very high regard make her first lifetime start today in Aunt Sarah. We are going to see Captain Doolittle make his first lifetime start today also. Just so we're clear, I told everybody his first stake race he will trot in 58. I believe I said that a couple of times. I do believe he'll trot in 59 today. Memento Mori's in today, and I have every intention to race Memento Mori very hard today. Not overly hard, but I do want to get to the bottom of what's what. The Memento Mori I've seen his last 4 starts. He's not the one I expect. I don't expect him to go out and wow the world, but I do expect him to get his work done. I don't know what has happened, what happened his last 4. We're going to take a real close look at Maury today. And tonight, Emerald Tom makes his first lifetime start. I had a discussion with Kane Kaufman. I called him for a number of reasons. We are in the midst of trying to buy, I told you guys this quietly yesterday, maybe the day before, we are in the midst of trying to buy 3 horses that have been offered up for sale. A number of horses have been offered up for sale. 3 of them caught my eye, and we're close to getting that done, I believe. Now again, these are going to be first come, first serve also, so if they're not there when we put the money together, they're not there. But one of the horses is a horse he used to have that I'm very interested in. He was telling me all about her and how much he liked her and how she was a nice filly. Gave me some good insight. And I wanted to talk to him about Emerald Tom also. And I said, hey, Emerald Tom, do you have time to go last trip with him? Because there may be some changes we need to make. Him moving to a half to a 5/8. I think he's good enough to trot 58, 59 tonight. But you should get a feel for him. He said, no problem. Just let Jason know, and we'll get together and get that taken care of. And then Aunt Lily's racing tonight, coming back in 6 days. Obviously go a little easy. We don't need to drop the hammer on her tonight. Now, tomorrow is just going to be every bit as busy. Gorgeous Package makes her way back to the grassroots, the Buckeye division tomorrow. Looks like money back to the Open at the Meadows, where he should do fine also. Foxy Seaside, what is her odds? 10-1, drew the outside. That's how tough that division is in Ohio right now, the Buckeye division. Oh, fuel level low. Do you know how many times that's happened to me in my life? Maybe 3 in my entire life. That's how things are going right now, is that the fuel low light just came on in the car. Now, obviously, we have lots of time to get there, 66 miles. This comes on at 50 miles, I think, right? Then we have to go 25. So I think we'll be fine. We'll be fine. But that never comes on. I'm the guy that before I leave town, I fill it up when it's at half a tank. Like, it never gets that light. It would never be needed ever in a car that I own. And that's how much is going on right now, is I didn't even know how low we were at fuel. Foxy Seaside, that's how tough that division is. This affiliate pays 51. 10-1 morning line in the Buckeye. Supermind, I can assure you, shouldn't be 10-1. He's 5-1. I would be thoroughly shocked if he didn't go out and mop that crew tomorrow. This colt is in the same company as Uncle Danny, I believe. And I think he's a very, very good colt. And if I'm not mistaken, you're probably going to see just a glimpse of how good he is tomorrow. Manhattan Money's been racing great. Somebody said, oh, he drew the outside. I keep telling everybody, he's not a horse that likes to lead from the inside. I'm fine with what he dropped. 7-hole, good. Perfect spot for him to be tomorrow at the Meadows. He'll do just fine from post 7. And then we have Captain Incredible also tomorrow. He's 5-2. I assume that's picked to win. We'll see. And then 3 Point Blue Chip will close out the night. He is 8-1. Is that right? 6-1. But he has the outside. We'll see what kind of trip we can work out. As I said before, Save America did get in Charlottetown. He's got the 5-hole in Charlottetown on Saturday night. That will be his last prep race before the Governor's Plate. Rock Shining Star is in the Consolation tomorrow. This is a horse that should have obliterated that division, I believe, and instead he was poor last week. I guarantee you Harry will have him much better tomorrow. Jimboree is in at Northfield Park with Tyler. The reason Tyler's driving him is I will be in both the Meadows, which they don't have up yet, the Meadows and Scioto, Diosa Della Danza, Tomboy Strong, Uncle Danny, and Highest Honors, 8, 5, and 4. We drew for Saturday evening. So that's a little look at what's coming up. That's a little look at what went on yesterday. As I said, it just felt like I was carrying around a wet blanket yesterday all day long. And it shook free. A little more clarity today. And hopefully looking for some good luck here in the Meadows. So take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day. You're all caught up now. There should be no questions left. None. Good luck to everybody racing today. I'll talk to you all very soon.